Hi, I'm Whack.
Hi, I'm Pat, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Orbit. We took last week off, Whack, because I was in transit to Melbourne, Australia. It is Sunday, December 10th here. When is it? Where are you on this planet?
Yeah,
Because
it's
I feel like
Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
yeah,
I think
it's
this is,
so strange being in Australia where you're like 16 hours ahead of everybody else.
Mhm.
So it's early morning here. It's about 8 a.m. and I think it's around 4 p.m. there in your neck of the woods on Saturday, I should say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, so you're in the
Yeah,
future. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So I've been up since about 3:30 in the morning. I'm still trying to get adjusted to the time difference, but it's been a good time here in Australia, meeting everybody. Had a wedding, that's why I'm here primarily, but I did get to meet one of our fellow community members of Rocket Pool Whack, um, which we'll get into in just a moment. But it's good to be back. We took last week off. Thanks for sticking with us. And let's show you who I met with. We'll start with sharing my screen. And I met with Alias K, or Alias. I can't remember how he told me to say it, but
Elias
there's
K,
us.
maybe, or
We
Alias?
grabbed some
I'm
coffee.
not
It
sure.
was for about an hour down the street from where he works, and it was good. It's good whack meeting with members of the community and just touching base. You feel like you found like a best friend when you start talking crypto or rocket pool with someone that you may have only seen in Discord. And as I understand it, there's a meetup in Chicago tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of hush hush right now. We're not really telling too many people about it, but thanks for spilling the beans on
but by
that.
by the time you're watching this episode, it would probably have already happened. So I'm sorry to break the news. So, anyways, on to let's go on to some stats. It was a pretty crazy week in the deposit pool whack. We had a giant deposit on December 15th of 15,813, and then kind of gone back to three-digit deposits since. Yesterday was a pretty decent one at over 1,000. So, for our listeners, what happened on December 5th that we had such a huge deposit?
Yeah, so on December 5th, there was a group of people called Seven Sisters. They are deep in the maker ecosystem. I'm not sure, I think there's some kind of market makers. Anyway, they had 20,000 ETH that they burned into the deposit pool to get the
Mm-hmm.
ETH back. So if they had sold a chunk of that on the secondary market, they would have actually gotten more ETH back. But they burned it all through the deposit pool. And then as you see the burns happening, you see that people were scrambling to fill the deposit pool right away. And what's really interesting is that, that amount of ETH that they burned, the deposit pool was back to being full within 3 hours of their burn. So it just shows that there's some really good demand for the deposit pool, people wanting to buy rETH at peg. And sadly, it doesn't always move over to the secondary market, but it might be because people don't want to, add that extra contract like Uniswap, CowSwap, whatever it might be. They just want to deal directly with the Rocket Pool contracts, in which case they just want to get it from the deposit pool itself. But it just shows that there's a good chunk of demand there for people who want to mint rETH at peg. So this was something that people were quite excited about because it was filled so quickly. It just means that if the time comes, where if we get LEB4s or some kind of, expansion of the validator set, then there might be a good chunk of demand there to help us grow really fast, like we did after Atlas and Shanghai.
So are we going to be doing just three-digit deposits daily for the foreseeable future? Is there going to be a time when the deposit pool is going to be not full all the time? I mean, what are your thoughts, Wack?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways in which the deposit pool can get empty. Like the easiest way is if some of our big whales converted their 16 ETH validators into LEB8s, and by doing that, they could open up the space for thousands of ETH to come into the protocol through the deposit pool. But without that happening, then what you need is whales to kind of come online, like a new whale, to bring, thousands or potentially tens of thousands of ETH with their new validator, and then stake that, and then that would open up the deposit pool as well. Sadly, it seems like the most likely path will be, there's two things. One is if there's some kind of depeg on the LST market, in which case everyone will burn, their rETH to try to get ETH back. That's one way in which it might happen. And
Mm-hmm.
another way in which it might happen is if we change the validator types that we do. So if we did, if today we was to change to LEB4s, the deposit pool would be empty instantly. Like it would be empty within a matter of minutes, because not a matter of minutes, because people would kind of have to go through like some kind of bonding period and stuff. But within a days, there would be like a queue of thousands of validators, I think, because people would want to move to LEB4s. But we have to do that in a really smart way, and that will probably come with other tweaks that will happen, because we can't do it right now because of safety issues. We don't have forced exits. There's still the issue of MEV theft. There's another issue is that if we move to mini pools, then people will have to move their validators. They might have to exit the validators and re-enter on mega pools. Whereas if they start at LEB4s now, then they'll just be paying extra gas in between. But it might work out to be better for the people who want to do that in the meantime, because they'll be getting extra rewards. So
Right.
I'm not sure, it's just there's too many issues right now around LEB4s, so it's possible that we won't see them until we get forced exits on mainnet, which is probably a year away. So it might be the case that
Gotcha.
we've got this kind of balance, this equilibrium for another year, and that might kind of stifle growth, but that's sadly the reality of it.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next item here. Let's take a look at the rocket pool price, our RPL chart, courtesy of CoinGecko, over the last 7 days. In ETH terms, about a week ago, we're at 0.0129, and as of this recording, we're at 0.013. So just a hair up on the ratio. In terms of US dollar price, we started at about $28, and we're now up to $30.68. So, I would say it's about flat for the week on the RPL ratio. What do you say?
Yeah, so on the main thing, of course, that people want to look at is the ETH ratio. That's been flat, which is kind of been disappointing for people, because a whole lot of other tokens have outperformed ETH in the last few weeks, whereas the Rocket Pool's RPL token did also, from our lows around 0.011, we're up a good 25%, 20% up from there. But yeah, over to 20, the problem with that is, we've not really moved since then. And in fact, we did go higher than this. We reached 0.016. And now that we're back to 0.013, people are just kind of like umming and ahhing. But the price has, been okay. It's just when in the beginning of bull market, there's all these tokens doing like 100% here and 500% in a month there. I think people in the Rocket Bull community are kind of getting a little bit of FOMO, and we're starting to see some signs of that. People saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a little speculative punt on this and that," and I think people are just a little bit bored by RPL price. The slow grind up, as long as it keeps moving up against ETH, that's the best thing. And I'd rather take 2% every week for the next 2 years than going up 20% one day and then down 20% and then up 20%. Like it's okay, but as long as the trend is upwards. So if you go to the 30-day chart, you can see that the 30 days we're actually moving not too badly, and yeah, it's slowly but surely trending upwards, and that's
There it is.
I'm taking some solace in there. But yeah, actually, if you look at the maybe the last 2 months is the one where you saw a little bit more of a move up, but it's been kind of
90-day.
flat, which I think people are kind of uninspired by. Yeah, there you can see a little bit more of the uptrend there in the 90 days, but even then the ratio is kind of flat. So yeah.
So, my understanding, Wack, and you've been in crypto a little longer than I have, but is the trend is you start with your BTC up, and then there's some profit taking. Then we get, the general market starts to rise, you get some airdrops. People all of a sudden are flush with some profits and money, who then shift and take some of those profits and money and put them into, altcoins and other stuff, and then eventually NFTs, farther into the cycle. Is that, can we expect something similar to that to play out in, say, this bull cycle, if we're in the bull cycle, where, as
I have.
I mean, it was just that huge airdrop, JTO, I think it was on Solana, where people are getting $5,000, $10,000. There's going to be, we might have an airdrop season where a lot of teams have been holding up through this bear, and they'll be dropping, like, all this newfound money into people's wallets. Do you see that, money shifting into, say, like RPL down the road?
Yeah. So there's a person in the Discord called Moon, who's like does like Elliott waves, which is kind of like technical analysis. And most of the time I'm just like, yeah, technical analysis, like whatever. But one of the points that he made is like, you need some kind of narrative or some kind of reason to get people excited about Rocket Pool. And the two reasons that I can think of that people get excited about Rocket Pool now in quarter one of 2024 is, first, the Houston upgrade, which we will be getting hopefully in quarter one. And the second thing is NodeSet's Constellation, which is the Rocket Pool add-on, which should be getting, we had some news on that this week, and we should be getting that around March or April time, hopefully. So those are a couple of things that might get people excited about RPL. Houston not necessarily will impact the price. It's more of like a Rocket Pool is now more decentralized than it was before kind of thing. Whereas NodeSet might get some people, curious about buying RPL to throw it into NodeSet and get some really good rewards. So there's a possibility that there'll be some boost there. But you need things happening to get people excited, whether that's narrative, whether that's fundamentals. But people need to be excited about something. And sadly, right now, there's not too much to be excited about with Rocket Pool. But hopefully, 2024, like we're all saying, is going to be a huge year for Rocket Pool. There's so many big things coming up. So that's where I'm putting all my eggs in that basket. So, yeah.
For sure. For sure. Okay, let's move on to talking about you here for a second. This was back on December 2nd. You had your 300th episode of Rocket Fuel, and congratulations, Whack. That's a real monumental accomplishment. You guys, then you put out a little raise of $15,000 through folks contributing and buying POAPs and such. And then our friend, the RPL Benefactor, distributed those funds to the community. And so, do you have any thoughts on your 300th episode and the RPL Benefactor?
Yeah, so I knew that, of course, I've been making Rocket Fuel for a year and a half now, so I knew the 300th episode was going to be coming up soon. The idea was that we would, I wanted to do something special for it. And just a few months ago, everyone in the community was so generous to donate money to me for a Gitcoin grant round. So I was like, thank you so much for giving that to me. But I felt kind of bad about it in the sense, I don't know, because I also get money from the GMC. So I had the money and I was like, I want to do something, for the community with this. So when I got the idea that, the 300th episode was coming up, I was like, let's get some money to the Benefactor and get him to distribute it to people. But then I realized that, it was going to be like a baby amount of money. It wasn't going to be much. So the idea then was that, look, let's get people to kind of raise money together. And we raised over $15,000, which is absolutely amazing. And that, became a really nice event over the weekend, last weekend, for the whole community to share, because we got the 300th episode out, and then we had Thomas and another anonymous whale donated like their match to my donation to Benny, and then with a lot of the RPL went back to the people who bought the POAP. So Benny did that thing where people spend $100 to buy the POAP, and then they got I think $160 or $170 of RPL back as a way of saying thank you for buying the POAP. So that was a big chunk of the RPL went there, and then a whole lot of other people got RPL from the Benefactor. So it was a really nice like celebration. And now I've got to think about what I'm going to do for the 400th episode in about 6 months' time. So I'll get my thinking cap on for that.
Is there another crypto community out there that has where if you're playing around in Discord, you just get dropped free money. I mean, I think it's like maybe the third or fourth time this in 2023 where the RPL Benefactor has distributed RPL to folks, and
Third, third
I
time.
mean, it's great. It's just
Yeah, third
getting
time.
tokens
So
like that.
yeah,
Is our Rocket Pool one of the only
yeah.
ones that does that?
I'm not really part of too many other communities, but it's the only one that I've heard of that has like community driven things like this. But it might, I think Rocket Pool is kind of unique, like the community is really special. I think there are a couple of NFT communities where people are like really active and like it has a huge like community aspect around it. But I don't know if there's too many whales kind of like splashing cash around to everyone else. So yeah, I'm not in any of those communities anyway. This is the only one that I know of, and it's pretty cool. And
All right, let's move on to
yeah,
our next thing. Starknet. There's some hints that they might be dropping an airdrop soon, and node operators might be part of that, perhaps Rocket Pool node operators. Here's a post from the Starknet Foundation. It says, now that the news is out, we might as well tell you more. Starknet is about each of you, blah, 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 blah. TLDR, we have plans to allocate over 1.8 billion STRK tokens across multiple initiatives to drive the adoption and growth of Starknet blockchain. The first is about to start soon, and it goes into some more detail. So this would be nice to get a little airdrop. Do you have any more information on this since it came out?
no, like it definitely feels like it's airdrop season in crypto right
Yeah.
now. People are literally making thousands of dollars by just interacting with protocols. Thankfully, there's not much for us to do because we've been like people have been node operators since before the merge. Like I think they've probably taken the snapshot already, so they'll have a list of all the different node operators who are online, and then they'll just be eligible for some kind of airdrop, which would be great. Starknet, of course, is a layer two on Ethereum, so if you kind of put it in line with the valuation of like Optimism and Arbitrum, then it might end up being worth a couple of $1,000s, which is a lovely bonus for just staking. So that's really nice.
Right, absolutely. We'll keep an eye on that over the next few weeks. On to our next topic, Whack. We've got a post here by Fornex. He announces in the Discord that the Smartnode has been updated to version 1.11.1. It's a recommended update for all node operators due to client upgrades. So there's several updates to all the major clients. And do you have any thoughts on the new Smartnode?
Yeah, so the biggest thing in this new Smart Node stack is a new official sidecar in the Smart Node stack. So before there was only one official sidecar, which is like an add-on in the Smart Node stack, which was the graffiti, where anytime you got a proposal, you could put a pixel on the graffiti art on Beacon Chain graffiti board they had for proposers. Well, now we have our second one, which is the rescue node. So for those of you who
Yeah.
don't know, the rescue node is a service that the GMC funds. It's run by Patches and a couple of other rocket scientists and community members. And it's a service where you can use the rescue node as a fallback node if you need to, reset your execution client, or prune, change your execution client, or consensus clients as well. Well, actually, they have a snapshot sync, so those don't necessarily need the same kind of fallback for. But this is a really great service that is now also made more streamlined because of some of the work that Patches have been doing on the system. And one of the great things that Patches did this week was he opened up the rescue node to solo stakers. So this was a huge development and got some really good buzz around the wider Ethereum community that, something built in the Rocket Pool community is now going to be useful for solo stakers. So it was really wonderful. Okay. I can't see you though, but I could hear you before.
Okay, on to our next news item. Yearn, the yETH holders have voted to include the Rocket Pool rETH into the yETH token. RPL will join LSTs from Frax, Swell, Lido, Stater, Coinbase, and Dotio. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. So this looks like it could be a way to increase rETH usage and adoption. I'm not sure how this works. If you got to be, there's bribes every week or every couple of weeks or every month to be included in this. Maybe you can fill me in. What do you think?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So first of all, you have to bribe to even have your token listed on the vote to be included. So 0x7D52, I think the person, they bribed twice at two different periods. The first period, mev.io, they outbid Rocket Pool because we're not providing any incentives from the incentive management committee. And then on the second round, which was this round, he did it again, and then Rocket Pool was added. However, then the next step now is that people have to vote with increasing or decreasing balances. And at the moment, like there's only 4 rETH in that pool, so it's nice in terms of another integration and another like bridge, but it's not really worthwhile in terms of um, adding any size to Rocket Pool, if that makes sense. So far, it might be that this drives some rETH adoption, but I don't think the incentive management committee or anyone else is paying for that to happen. So I don't think it will really happen that well.
Gotcha. Okay. We got 4 new votes coming up. Well, actually, that are now live, WAC. And these are all revolving around the Houston upgrade. So the first one, RPIP 31, is RPL withdrawal address. Second one is RPIP 32, stake ETH on behalf of a node. RPIP 33 is implementation of an on-chain PDAO. And the last one is RPIP 35, time-based balance in RPL's price submissions. We can spend more time next week. This is a 2-week vote, so we got some time. We will, if you want to give us just a general sense of the votes on all 4 of these.
Yeah. So with the withdrawal address and stake on behalf, these two will make it easier for people to either form partnerships or services like NodeSet or others to kind of make validators set up. So it just adds a level of trustlessness to the whole process, which is really cool. The on-chain voting is like the superstar attraction of the Houston upgrade. This will be helping Rocket Pool take a huge step towards further decentralization of the protocol, which is really exciting. And then the final one is time-based balance updates instead of on-chain, block-based. And the great thing about that is we'll be able to use this to really help people kind of topping up their amounts on the rewards day, because they'll know exactly what they need to get 10%, and they'll have a good amount of time, a predictable amount of time to make that decision, which at the moment that can fluctuate. So there's an element of unpredictability about it, whereas with the new system that will be fixed. So those are the 4 votes that are up. It is almost definitely going to be the case that all 4 of them will pass. They're all strongly favored right now, and they've gotten a lot of votes. I need to check if they've reached quorum yet or not. I'm not sure, but if not now, then very soon they'll all be at quorum also. So yeah, that's really exciting, and that's another step closer to the Houston upgrade being put together and going through.
Okay, well, that concludes this week's episode. Again, thanks for listening and watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you ever want to work out at the gym and just
thank you so much.
Listen to the podcast, it's on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, of course on YouTube as well. Until then, we will see you next week, and I'll be back in the States for that one. Take care.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you. Bye, everyone.